Hey there, Guardian. Welcome to Destiny Destinations IRL, the series where we take a look at the different locations featured in Destiny and talk about what they're like in the real world. Today, we're going to be talking about one of Destiny's most unique destinations, Nessus. In Destiny, Nessus is a world covered in lush red foliage, Vex and Cabal constructs, and colony ship debris, creating an interesting and visually unique landscape that's home to a wide variety of Destiny content. And while Nessus in reality may not be quite as exciting as it is within Destiny, it's still an interesting object that many people don't really know anything about. In fact, I'd be willing to bet that some of you probably didn't even realize it was a real place at all before clicking on this video. Now, when it comes to Nessus specifically, we don't actually know a ton about it, which is probably why Bungie chose it as the perfect location to bring some mystery to the game and make a truly unique sandbox environment. When you check your jump ship's destination map, the system has it classified as a rogue centaur. Now, that may sound like another Vex subtype, but a centaur is actually a small body with an irregular orbit that exists within the general proximity of the outer planets, like Neptune or Uranus. Think of centaurs as being like asteroids or comets. In fact, they're sometimes referred to as minor planets, because they're bigger than your typical asteroid, but smaller than a planet. They have orbits that they follow, but they're typically pretty long and unstable, meaning that if they happen to cross paths with the gravitational field of a larger object, like one of our gas giants, they could change orbits entirely. They're too small to be actual planets, but it's hypothesized that some of the moons of planets like Saturn are actually centaurs that got a little bit too close to those giants and became trapped in their orbits. Think of centaurs as small planets that are dodging gravitational fields and debris while they orbit the sun. And speaking of that orbit, it takes Nessus about 122 Earth years to orbit all the way around the sun. A big part of why it takes so long is because of how far away it usually is, and the shape of its orbit. Nessus has a perihelion that's controlled by Saturn, and an aphelion located within the Kuiper belt. Now hold on, you're thinking. What do those words even mean? Well, I'm glad you asked. Aphelion means furthest point from the sun, and perihelion means closest point to the sun. Basically, the closest Nessus gets to the sun changes, and it's strongly affected by Saturn's gravitational field, while the furthest away Nessus gets from the sun is located within the Kuiper belt, which you can think of as sort of a giant asteroid belt and debris field out past Neptune. This is where Pluto and Eris are located, and no, not Eris Morn, Eris the dwarf planet. Physically speaking, Nessus is shaped a little bit like a tennis ball that you've squeezed in your hand, meaning that it's a little squished, a little oblong. This doesn't seem to affect it too much, as it's basically still a sphere, but it's an interesting feature nonetheless. In Destiny, Nessus is absolutely covered in deep red plants, and you may think it was a random choice by Bungie's art team to make it look so red, just to kind of shake up the color palette. And while that may be true, astronomers have actually found that Nessus is really an incredibly red object. Centaurs seem to fall typically on a scale from gray to red, and Nessus is about as red as they come. Now, I'm not saying Nessus is covered in giant red trees in reality, but it's certainly a really interesting interpretation of the data that gave us a really beautiful destination to patrol. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I've been wanting to make something like this for a few years now, and it feels really good to finally get it out there and release it to the world. I plan to make a whole bunch more of these about different locations and different science from video games and how they relate to our real world, so make sure you're subscribed if you want to know when the next one releases. If you've got any suggestions for topics you'd like me to cover, or any questions about what we went over today, put them down in the comments, and I'll check them out. Please remember to hit that like button if you did enjoy this video, because it really does help me out a ton. And you can also check out stream VODs and highlights and other videos, a couple of which should be on screen right now. Until next time, take care, and hope to see you all again soon. Bye-bye.